My Lords, it isn't just Liverpool that will suffer under the present plans. Nottingham and Leicester and Derby and other cities will be bypassed. But my Lords, I do not want to follow the Right Reverend Prelate because I do not support HS2 and I never have. And now, of course, it threatens the county that I had the privilege to represent in the other place for some 40 years. And I am receiving letters. Staffordshire's pain will not be Staffordshire's gain. It sums up the messages that I'm receiving both by telephone and in the post. My Lords, I think we have to consider this is a finite country. Our glorious, beautiful landscape is finite. The noble Lord Truscott, and we're all in his debt this evening, talked about the vaster spaces in France and in Spain, our continental neighbours. A thing of beauty is a joy forever until it is destroyed. And we will be destroying some of the finest and most beautiful countryside that this country has, both in the Chilterns and in the Midlands and beyond. And destroying it to what point and what purpose? The people who come to Liverpool and elsewhere come to this country not just to do business. We hope they'll come in increasing numbers. They don't come to enjoy our weather. They come increasingly perhaps to enjoy our cuisine, but most of all they come to enjoy our built heritage, our historic towns and villages and cities, our cathedral cities in particular, and they come to enjoy the truly breathtaking countryside that we are privileged to have. And it is our duty to pass that on to future generations. And there are so many other things that could be done with this money. I have the privilege of living in the glorious cathedral city of Lincoln. Lincoln does not have regular services to London. There is one train a day from Lincoln to London and one from London to Lincoln. A Lincoln man or woman can have a day in London, but somebody from London cannot have a day in Lincoln. And as we approach the octocentenary of Magna Carta, and we're going to have great celebrations in Lincoln, it is essential that we have better rail communications, and that people from London can have a day in Lincoln as they can so easily have a day in York. I'm grateful to the Secretary of State for Transport for the personal interest he's taking in this matter. He's a man for whom I have the highest possible regard, as I do for my noble friend who will respond to this debate. But I do think we have our priorities misplaced, my Lords. We should be spending this money on upgrading and perhaps reinstating some of the lines that were so ill-advisedly taken up in the wake of Beeching. My Lords, my time is up. This country's time will be up scenically and, from the point of view of its beautiful landscape, in many, many of its parts if HS2 goes ahead. And I hope and pray that it won't.
Well, Lords, I'd like to thank Lord Truscott for securing this debate and declare an interest, as my home is in Little Missenden, which is close to the current preferred route for Phase 1. Of course, being a NIMBY may encourage some others to devalue my comments, but, my Lords, without that close connection, I would probably not have studied the government's proposals in the way I have. And I'd like to make 2 points. I support investment in our national rail network, and I'm in favour of introducing a high-speed network for the UK, though I would start in a different place, most literally and metaphorically. I'd start in places that actually need high-speed connectivity, such as the South West, Wales, the North West of Scotland and Scotland more generally, a contribution perhaps to a United Kingdom. I would insist on interconnectivity with other transport systems. Why on earth does HS2 no longer stop at Heathrow? And why does it not connect properly with HS1 through Stratford and then thence to the continent? I would follow existing major transport corridors, such as the M40 from Heathrow to Birmingham or the M1 through Milton Keynes. And I would pay proper regard to areas of ancient woodland and precious areas of natural beauty, even though it means that journey times are slightly extended. And I would consult properly on all the possible alternatives so that the best choice is made, and I would certainly have a much better compensation scheme. My second point is about the route through the Chilterns. HS2's limited presentation of the case for the Y route north of Birmingham trumpeted that it avoids national parks, areas of outstanding natural beauty and registered parks and gardens. I welcome this, but it does throw into stark relief the fact that the Chilterns is now the only AONB along the entire HS2 route that is adversely affected by the proposed scheme. At present, my local campaign groups, Conserve the Chilterns and Countryside and the Chiltern Ridges HS2 Action Group, have suggested a tunnel through the entire Chiltern AONB, which I support. However, HS2 Limited clearly want nothing to do with it. It claims it will increase cost by some 10 times the amount which we calculate it will cost, but they, of course, will not publish their calculations to prove that. A continuous full tunnel through the Chilterns AONB would not be necessary if HS2 is routed from Heathrow up the M40 or indeed through the M1 travel corridor to Milton Keynes. But if the government are intransigent on this, the continuous full tunnel would enhance the current phase 1 because it better protects existing natural assets, meets local concerns, actually reduces the total phase 1 construction time and save landscape-related costs of more than 65 million. The government should reconsult on the HS2 phase 1 route to allow proper and effective consideration of all alternative options, including the Chilterns AONB. It should ensure that the Chilterns tunnel proposals are included in the forthcoming environmental impact assessment, or else it could adopt the Labour Party's proposals for hubs at Heathrow and at Stratford.